Hello and welcome to today's video where we are going to cover how to do a basic knit stitch. The last couple of videos have been the super foundational videos on how basically to get this yarn onto the needle. And as you can see, I have one row of stitches on the needle. And if you are unsure of how to do that, there will be links below on how to find the video where I did the cast on. In today's video, we're going to talk specifically about how to do the knit stitch, and it's going to lead up to us knitting basically this swatch, so to speak, or this sample. And this yarn is the same as this yarn. And this is what we call garter stitch, and that is a stitch pattern, and what that means is knitting every single stitch. When we create a knitted fabric, and that's what we're doing, is creating a fabric, we're going stitch by stitch and creating our own fabric. And when we do that, whatever stitches we use will determine what the fabric looks like and what patterns and properties it will have. So I always recommend that people do at least a couple of these garter stitch scarves out of this super bulky weight yarn to get started. It allows you the time to really get comfortable making this stitch, to handling the needles, to handling the yarn. And when you make a couple of them and you alter colors and things like that, you can really see how creative you can get by simply working with what we call sticks and string. It's really a fun and rewarding hobby. Okay, so ultimately this is where we're going. Let's talk about the knit stitch. So when we're knitting, we always have this side, which we hold in our left hand, and I'm so sorry that I don't have instructions for people who are left-handed. I am right-handed myself, and so that's the only way that I know how to teach someone to do this. I apologize for that, but that's just kind of where I am with things. You can do a little search and find help if you need to work left-handed. I don't really know much about that. Today we're going to work in the standard using right hand dominant practices. Okay, so the left hand is going to always have your project, and essentially what you're doing is you're using the right needle as your working needle with your working yarn. This is your working yarn. Working yarn is the yarn that is attached to the ball. And so we are basically taking this right needle and this working yarn, and we make a stitch, and we are transferring the project from this needle over to this needle. And when we get to the very end and do the last stitch here, the entire project will then be in this hand on this needle. And then we're going to switch and do it again. Start all over. So let's see what that looks like. To do a knit stitch, right now I have 10 cast on stitches, and we're always going to start where the working yarn is. The working yarn should always be off to your right. I'm going to come in from the front with the right needle. I'm going under the left needle through the stitch to the back, so it's like a little X. You can see how all that is. Let me bring it up, see how it's around. Okay, and then I'm going to take this working yarn, the tail is over here, taking this working yarn, and I'm going to wrap counterclockwise, and then what I'm going to do is use this tip to grab this yarn and pull it through that loop. Okay, I know it feels like a lot going on at one time. Once you do it a little bit, It's not that bad. Okay, so I've pulled that loop through. It's on my right needle. I'm going to slide the stitches up to the end like that, and then it comes off. Okay, I've made one new knit stitch, and now I'm going to take the right tip of the needle. I'm going to come underneath, wrap it around, grab and pull it through. And I'm going to do this several times. I'm going to get up closer, and I'll do it a little bit slower so you can see. Okay, so I've got 2 stitches on the right needle. I'm taking that tip through the stitch under the left needle, take the working yarn, I'm going to wrap it counterclockwise onto the right needle, and I'm going to pull it through just like that, and it comes off. Isn't that amazing? And then I've made 3 stitches. All right, let me come in really close here. Okay. The right tip. See how I'm coming underneath? See how there's like this gap? That's what you're going to go through. And it comes through. And see how I'm under the left needle. Okay. And then I'm going to pull it around. And then this tip is going to grab that yarn and pull it through that hole. And then off it comes. All right, so again, we're going through the loop. We're going to wrap around, grabbing with here and pulling it through. Right needle, under the left, through the loop, wrapping around, and pulling it through, just like that. And on the last one, see how I'm coming through the loop, under the left, and wrapping the yarn, and I'm pulling it through. And there we go. And then see, all the project has transferred from the left needle to the right needle. And then what we do is we switch. It's called turn the work. So we're going to turn our work. Now, this is a mess. Okay, who can tell what in the world is going on with this? So we're going to straighten up our project a little bit. Okay? Don't be afraid to work with your project, and you can pull down on your stitches a little bit, but see how that is? And then we have this nice project on what is now the right needle, now becomes the left needle. here's all of our beautiful stitches. Okay, let's do it again. Get a little more, oops, get a little more yarn. One of the easiest things to do to mess up is to accidentally knit your tail instead of your working yarn. We all do it. It happens all the time. It's just the way it is. Try not to do that because you'll have to rip out your work and then you'll be really sad. But for right now, we're going to definitely make sure we have our working yarn. Come up where you can see. Okay, and now I'm same thing. Underneath, through. See how that's going through? And wrap around and pull it through, and then it comes off. Under through the loop, wrap it around, pull it through, off. Through, wrap, and pull it through. You're basically looping your yarn over and over. That's what we're doing to make this project. And that's what you do. And when you get to where you're doing this, you are actually knitting. That's all there is to it. Same thing with an instrument. Once you learn how to handle your instrument, it's much better. So it just takes a little time, it takes a little practice. And there you go. And we've done our third row of knitting. Isn't that amazing? Okay, we'll do one more. That way if you're knitting along, maybe this is helpful for you, okay? One more. If you're already bored, you can go to something else. There's no need to let everybody else know you're bored. You can just click away and do something else. But for those of us who need a little extra, here it is. And that, my friends, is a knit stitch. And you're just going to keep doing this until you use up that whole ball of yarn. And when you get to the end, you're going to have this really killer scarf. Okay, here we go. One more. Boom. There it is. And see, it's completely off of the left needle. Everything has been transferred now to the right. And then we turn our work. You always pick up to knit on the side where the working yarn is to your right side. Okay, and that's it. And eventually, this is going to become bigger like that. Even though that's just a sample, but You see where I'm going. See how this looks the same? Okay, that's the process for doing the knit stitch, and I hope you found it helpful. And if you have questions, you can leave them below. If you would like the free knitting pattern and an easier to follow program of doing this whole knitting project, I will have a link for that below. Everything is going to be in one place, and I think you'll enjoy that. I will link below. You will need to sign up for the email list, and once you sign up for the email list, everything will be all ready for you on its own page. And I think you'll find that helpful. If you don't need all of that, then that's fine. You don't have to do it. Okay. All right. That's all I have for you. Thanks for watching, and I hope that you will subscribe to the channel and certainly like the video. All of that really helps. And I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.